What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel. With me today is the first ever DDT Universal Champion, 14-year veteran, world travel individual, England's own, Chris Brookes. Chris, what's going on, boss man? How you feeling?
Hello, I'm feeling all right. How are you? That was a lovely introduction. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you. Appreciate my intro, man. See, we singing already. Me and Chris just had like a good 10-minute conversation before we started recording. Got to know each other a little bit, which was very cool. Chris is a cool dude from what I can see so far, man. So I appreciate you taking the time to do this. He's actually in Japan right now, where it is 10 a.m. I am here in the States where it is 9 p.m. Definitely appreciate Chris taking the time to do this. But we are here to promote CyberFight Festival on June 12th, which is taking place in Saitama, Japan. Chris, you are going to be in an 8-man tag team match, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. But just talk to me about like what's sort of the vibe like that they have in these CyberFight Festival shows. I know you were a part of the last one in 2021, having all the promotions under the CyberFight umbrella coming together. What's sort of the vibe like at these shows, just from your experience at last year's show?
I think like the experience of the CyberFight shows is it's in the name and the way that they always try and brand it and promote it, but it's quite true. They put it over as like it's this festival thing. It's like a big getting together, and of course there's the four companies: Tokyo Joshi, DDT Pro Wrestling, Noah, and Gambari Pro Wrestling. I've been quite fortunate, I think, to kind of avoid the very competitive stink of the interpromotional matches both years. Like this year I'm in the DDT's 8-man tag again, but obviously you have some like cross promotional matches. Like there's a 6-man tag with Noah guys against DDT guys, where you've got, I think it's Akiyama and Endo and Higuchi on the DDT team, and then you've got Sasaki, Daisuke Sasaki. He's wrestling Keno as well, and those things they get pretty heated. They've been having quite the slinging word throwing contests with each other, and I feel excited for CyberFight Festival, but also I feel lucky that I'm not caught in the interpromotional wars between Noah and DDT, because gets intense, gets nasty.
Yeah, so you see some of those press conference videos floating around on Twitter, man. It never goes according to plan. But like I know one of them.
I feel like it's always Noah that starts it as well. DDT are like, okay, it's the big show. Everyone's getting together. Let's have a good time. Let's have some fun, which is kind of like the ethos of DDT. And then Noah always the ones who are like out of left field. Screw DDT. You're all garbage. And everyone's like, oh, okay.
I actually heard CyberFight president Sanshiro Takagi. He had did an interview. And if I'm not mistaken, what he was saying was like last year's show, like they really try to play into the like group versus group and promotion versus promotion more so, and like this year they sort of leaning into more like the tag match aspect of it, like more so what I'm trying to say. I like they kind of switching it up opposed to last year where because I mean I'm pretty sure a lot of people would like to see the competitive aspect between different promotions going at it, but I don't think it's nothing wrong with switching it up and going the route of let's have this one interpromotional match or two interpromotional matches, or just having like a one interpromotional singles match opposed to having a variety of different matches like that on the card, and sort of just switching it up from what it was last year. I think that's kind of cool to change the formula a little bit.
I think it's nice to have like a couple of those interpromotional matches where it's sort of one of the companies versus the other one.
Yeah,
but I think
right.
More so than like obviously when this show happens, CyberFight has like the four companies under one umbrella now. I think more than anything, when they do like the CyberFight Festival, is kind of that sense of like it's a taste of everything show. It's like let's show everyone all the aspects of CyberFight. So while it's like interesting, I think, to have some interpromotional matches, I think CyberFight Festival last year and this year is like always a good opportunity to maybe get a new audience in the perhaps watched Noah but don't watch DDT, or watch DDT but don't watch Gambari Pro Wrestling. I think it's a good like chance to have kind of a buffet of all of the wrestling that's going on in CyberFest. So I think while it's important to have like those mixed matches between companies, I think it is important also to have like those showcase matches just per company, which I think you've got a lot of this year as well. There's like Tokyo Joshi, they've got like a 6-girl tag where it's like 6 of the best, and then DDT's got the 8-man where it's like 8 of the best. Gampro has their guys on the show. So I think there is quite a lot of interpromotional matches going on, but also I think it's important to have that showcase for the companies individually on a big stage like Saitama.
Right. And I know one of the individuals that's going to be in that match is a fellow tag team partner of yours, man, Masahiro Takanashi. I think you guys had just recently defended the Asia Dream Tag titles over in the Gato Move promotion. And I know you guys had defended the, unfortunately lost the KOD tag team titles back in May, man. But talk to me about the sort of the chemistry as your partnership continues to grow.
Masa, yeah, he was like one of the first people that was kind of like extended the hand of friendship unnecessarily when I like first came to Japan. And I think if you look at like Gato Move and the history of different wrestlers who've come in, I think you can see instances where he's done that with like a lot of people. I think he's just an outgoing, nice person. And I think the same kind of situation happened with Aki, where Aki was like, I'm desperate to go to Japan. I really want to wrestle in Japan. And Masa was one of the people who like extended the hand and was like, I'll help you out as much as I can. And I think the same situation happened with me. Obviously, I was in DDT. But at the beginning, I didn't really know anyone, especially on my first tour. And he was one of the first people who, despite the language barrier, which especially on my first tour, because I spoke no Japanese, and at that time, Masa didn't really speak much English at all. But he would always make like the effort to be like, oh, I'm going out with some people this day. Do you want to come along to like this dinner that we're doing or whatever? Or do you want to come to Ichigaya and watch a Gato Move show? So he's just a nice, outgoing dude. And I think if you just look at the people that are kind of in his bubble or in that like Gato Move, Choco Pro bubble, guys like Hagane Shino or Chon Shiryu and people of that like, he just surrounds himself with good people. So I think that's a good sign that he's a nice person to be friends with. His circle is like a bunch of good people too.
Right. And man, you are no stranger at all to sort of great tag teams and being in the and having these partners, man, where you two just seem to blend really well. I got to talk about the tag team between you and Jonathan Gresham, and also these highly regarded tag matches that you guys used to have with Santana and Ortiz back in Progress. I think you guys had several, and these were very highly regarded matches, man. So to talk to me about the chemistry between you two teams, and if you could even pinpoint. Why do you think that you two guys, like you two sets of teams, just really click really well? I know both Santana and Ortiz have openly said countless times that those were some of their favorite matches.
I think, yeah. In terms of John, John used to come over to England and Europe like really frequently around 2011, 12. And we ended up just hitting it off with each other. I think the first time we ever spoke was at like a Fight Club Pro practice. And we just got on really well. And then it got to a situation where whenever he was staying in the UK, he would always just stay at my house and we just hang out together. And John is like, or at least, especially he was then, I'm sure he still is the same today. He's obsessed with wrestling. I really like wrestling, but John is like obsessed in, I won't call it an unhealthy obsession. I think, I think it's fine. But my God, I remember we'd like stay up late, order food, watch wrestling, hang out, and then you pass out on the couch, go to sleep, and I'd wake up the next morning and he'd already be awake watching wrestling again. Like he'd be up, he had his like laptop, and on his laptop he had like all his favorite matches saved, and like he'd just be up the next day soon just watching it again. And he just go through matches over and over and over again. Like people, there's a lot of people who watch like a lot of wrestling. And they're like, oh, I love wrestling. I watch loads of wrestling and whatever. But like Gresham absorbs wrestling. Like he studies it. Like he'll find a match that he likes and just over and over and over again. He like breaks it down in his head. He's like, why did they do that here? Why did they do that here? How did this work? And like, yeah, he's just obsessed. So it makes sense that he's such a great wrestler because he really is completely consumed by it. And then the matches with LAX, I think if I'm not mistaken, the first one was a part of the Progress Coast to Coast tour when they were doing the America tour. I believe it was that tour. Yeah, it must have been. And I think that first one initially was supposed to be me and Lycos, and then it got changed during the course of that 1 week or 2 week, however long it was, America tour, because one of the first shows we did was in Boston. And Lycos broke his collarbone in a match there. So I think we were scheduled to tag most of that tour. And then he broke his collarbone. And Progress were like freaking out about it because obviously they've flown everyone in. They have a limited roster. And they were like, oh, no, what are we going to do? And I was like, well, Gresham's in America since he lives there. We were the original CCK before Like Us. You could try and get a hold of him and get him in. I don't know if they'd even used him at all up until that point. And they reached out to him. It turned out that he could do it. They got him up to New York. And then, yeah, what a crazy out of the blue kind of experience. I wasn't, prior to the match, too familiar with LAX at the time. I just remember, yeah, that match had like some crazy energy about it. Sometimes like it always creeps up on you, and it's when you never expect it. Like you'll get these matches where there's just that energy, and like especially like in the arena, the crowd's just like insane. And that was one of those times where I don't know if at that point I'd ever wrestled at La Boom. I think it's La Boom in New York.
Yeah.
The name of the building. I don't think I'd ever wrestled there. And when we turned up on the day, it just looked like, you know, your run of the mill little nightclub venue. Like you've seen a dime a dozen of them. And yeah, the match happened and people just went ape shit for it. And we ended up doing the sequel first in Manchester in England. And then we did one in London as well. And just every time it was like, super cool. We just really clicked with LAX right off the bat. I don't think I'm sure like Gresham and LAX had met previously and stuff, but I don't think they particularly had like a connection as such until those matches happened either. And it just went great. Yeah. And now yeah, I think when you have matches like the ones that we had together, you suddenly get like this kinship, this friendship. And now, like, whenever I see those LAX guys, it's like I'm seeing like great friends, that I've not seen in a long time, but it feels like yesterday. I mean, like we don't keep in touch most of the time, you know. Right. I'll follow their socials and see what they're up to. But every time like we're in the same place, it's like, oh, there they are. Those guys, they are crazy. They're like so good, so good. They blew my mind that day in New York. I was like, holy shit, these guys are insane and intense. Like they're like the speed of their not like the speed and like intensity of which they do things, they pull things off together is nutty. So I'm very happy for like all the success they have. I think they really deserve it.
Yeah, I remember I was watching the Terminus debut show, Jonathan Gresham and Baron Black's promotion, when Santana had confronted Gresham after the main event. And I remember the way that he was speaking and like sort of setting up their match, like before they formally announced the singles match, he was talking about the matches that you guys had and how, like, again, that was some of his favorite matches. And I initially thought, I was like, oh shit, him and Santana, like they about to, like, is he about to challenge Gresham and like ask him to bring like Chris Brookes or something? Like they gonna try to run it back or something. Like it was the way he was setting it up and the way he was speaking about it. I was like, oh, they about to do this again. So that was like a cool little moment. But something that you said that sort of stuck out to me was like, you talk about the crowd reaction that you guys got and how they were in it the whole way through. I know DDT, they had just announced they were going to do like a trial run type thing as far as like letting the fans cheer in July. It's been a while since fans in Japan have been allowed to openly voice that. And I know there've been I think Bushiroad owner has said, Bushiroad's president has said something along those lines of like they were trying to figure out like different systems and stuff like that. And like I know Sanshiro Takagi had gave his take on it, but like how excited are you to the possibility of that door fully being open as far as fans possibly being able to make noise again, verbally make noise again, and get back to some semblance of how it used to be pre-pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, I for one can't wait for that to happen. I think the general consensus among most wrestlers is probably the same kind of feeling. Then when it first happened and like the fan noise and everything went away, kind of, I guess it was March 2020 ish. At first in Japan, it wasn't even just crowd noise that went away, or I suppose worldwide. I mean, in England there was a period where there was just no shows whatsoever for a while, and I'm sure America was the same. But in Japan at first, it was like no noise but no audience whatsoever. Like DDT had a run for a couple of months where it was all no fan shows. Everything was like taped for Universe, and I think a lot of people felt the same, where it was like you kind of had to learn how to wrestle all over again, because like everything that you knew before or everything that you felt like worked, just it didn't work anymore. And I think it was a big wake-up call, I think, for a lot of people. I think a lot of wrestlers perhaps because you've never experienced it before, or it's very rare that you would experience something like it. I mean, everyone has shows where there's like a low number of people in attendance or whatever when you're like, especially coming up doing indies and stuff. But to go from crowds being able to make noise to absolutely nothing, I think was such a stark change. And I think it really made wrestling difficult. And I think a lot of people had to figure out how to do it all over again, because I think wrestling, the audience reaction is such a big part of it, like such a large part of the whole experience, not just for people watching it, but also because I saw, like, obviously around the time, complaints of like even fans were annoyed like watching it, that the atmosphere was different. But for a wrestler especially, it's 100% different. Like, so much of the energy you kind of get in a match is based off that response to what you're doing, and that adrenaline that people are throwing at you. And then when it's gone, it's very, very different and very difficult, I think. And then for a lot of people, it was kind of like you have to reassess how you do things, and it felt like learning how to ride a bike from scratch all over again. Like it felt like such a strange new thing. So I'm looking forward to people being able to make noise again, absolutely. And I think the really interesting thing is now, because it's been such a long time in Japan, obviously I think things have gone back to normal, or well, the new semblance of normal,
right?
A lot quicker in places like America and stuff. But in Japan, there's like DDT young guys who've like never wrestled for an audience that can make noise. There's people who've like debuted, 4 or 5 people probably in DDT that have debuted post pandemic, so they've never even wrestled for a crowd that can make noise, which is such a bizarre thing to consider.
That's crazy. That really is crazy, man. But like, so sort of going back to that 2018 year when you guys had that match with Santana and Ortiz. I know that same year you were supposed to make your PWG debut, and I think they had announced that you had an undisclosed injury, and unfortunately you had to pull out. And it never seemed like you really got a chance to sort of circle back and make that happen. Would you sort of chalk that up to just like scheduling and just timing wise as to why you weren't able to go back and make that PWG debut?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I think that was what 2018. So I mean, then 19, around the same time the PWG's Bowler would have been happening, because it's always like September time. I think around that time I was getting ready to go to DDT again for the whole latter half of 2019, and that was when I did the first DO Grand Prix for DDT, and then every September following that has been in the Corona world, so travel's not been possible. So I mean, it's still like it's still a bucket list thing. I'd like to do it one day. I think like you said, now there's that not a notch, there's that mark on your you have your board of achievements for your entire career, and there's Bowler on there still with like a question mark next to it because it never got to happen. So of course I'd like to do it. I mean, PWG now is a completely different kettle of fish to what it was years ago, and especially when I started watching it, because PWG was one of the first indie companies I watched back in like 2005, 6, and I mean, that was when they were still running the like, it was like a sports hall before they'd even gone to Reseda. So yeah, it's very, very different, but still obviously something I'd like to do at some point. I've like seen Takeshita now. He's challenging for the title, I think, on their next show.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I think that's really cool too. And I think they're booking Yuka, right? It's like Yuka Sakazaki against
Masha Slamovich,
which is like the first PWG women's match in,
I think, since I think wait, like I want to say 2013 or 2012, 2011 maybe. And I know it's the first time a woman has competed on a PWG show since 2016. And I know Candice LeRae was a focal point PWG. So that's really cool, man. I'm pretty sure, like, just like myself, like a lot of people, they were very surprised when they saw that very surprised when they saw that announcement, which I think is very cool. But yeah, definitely hope to see you get your PWG debut in one day, man. But something that I did want to talk to you about that was like really cool / funny that you were able to do last year. I think it was December 2021. You got the team with Maki Ito and Minoru Suzuki for one of the DDT Pro shows. And I remember when that got announced, man, y'all got like a lot of traction on social media. Like a lot of people were very happy, making a lot of funny jokes about like what you guys could do and like sort of spots that you could do and stuff like that. So to talk to me about that experience, man, being able to form that trio with Maki Ito and Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah, that was a unique team, to say the least. I think it's quite obviously it's an interesting dynamic. I feel like a lot of the times whenever I end up teaming with Maki Ito and we do like the Ito respect thing, I feel like I fall into the position of like the straight man in the situation. And I think I definitely was that in the Suzuki and Ito trio, especially. Because like both of them have such like widespread appeal, especially like in the year 2021, 2022. Right. They're both like so popular and whatever, that like that immediate connection, everyone's like really into it. And then I think that there would have been like two ways I could have looked at the situation of like, like everyone cares about Ito and Suzuki, I'll like just not do anything or whatever. Or I was like, I'll play like the middle person between them. Mm-hmm. And I think I fell into that role quite nicely, kind of like, yeah, being the middle straight person to their shenanigans, but super fun to do. I mean, Minoru Suzuki is legitimately terrifying. Like, that's not like a joke. He's like a very scary person. And then Maki Ito can be the same. She can also be very intimidating and scary when she wants to be. I remember the first time we ever teamed was, not the first time, but the first big match we had together was DDT's Ultimate Party in 2019. Mm-hmm. It was one where there's like a very, unfortunately, frequently used gif of me doing Maki Ito's entrance dance that still 3 years later refuses to go away. But I remember I was like trying to learn that dance before the show. And it's like my first ever time at Ryogoku Sumo Hall. So I'm like so nervous about that. But then before I find myself not nervous about the match whatsoever. I'm just nervous about like nailing this dance routine and trying to get it right. And she keeps going through it and through it and through it. And I'm like, I'm not a dancer, so I'm struggling to pick it up and remember it. And at one point she gets like really angry with me. She's like, you're not trying hard. And I'm like, I am trying hard. I'm not a dancer. And she gets like, she was hot. And it took Yuki Ueno, DDT wrestler, to come in and calm the situation down. I was like, enough of this. I'm doing my best. I don't need this stress today. She was like, you need to try harder. I was like, why are you so mean?
Did she want you to sing too? Or you just had to do dance?
No singing, fortunately. She's not pushed me for that.
Okay, good.
But she pushes the dancing frequently, and it's hard for me to get away from. Anytime we team, I'm like, oh, that'll be fun. And like, it always seems to be popular with people. I'm like, oh, Jesus, she's going to make me dance again. I don't want to, but doesn't take no for an answer. Both just genuinely scary people. But maybe nice people underneath. Suzuki, I'm not so sure. I could just be. I
about to say I could definitely see Suzuki being like a very stern person. Like it, like actually meeting them outside in the realm of professional wrestling. Seems like a very straightforward individual. Stuff like that. But Chris, as we were talking about, Maki Ito and your interaction with her, she can be very, very serious at times. And so, of course, Minoru Suzuki as expected, but something really funny, man, that I remember. I can't remember exactly when I saw this clip, but it was yourself and Maki Ito, and it was somebody else. I wish I could remember who it was, but it was after it was a post-match interview. And I remember she said the word bitch with every bit of force in her body. Like, and I remember you had the funniest look on your face. It was so funny because the camera was like had to pan because the height difference between you and Maki Ito, but you had like the funniest look on your face. Like I really wish that I could like I had it on standby so I could show you like the face you made in reaction to Maki Ito. But like I think it's very clear. Like, you use the word chemistry a lot, and I've said it quite a few times during this interview with the different people that you work with. I think that you and Maki Ito have like a good on-screen connection. Like I think it's very clear that you guys sort of have that balance with each other. As why your characters are or what you present on screen is not similar in a sense, but there are similarities but between you two as far as what you do on screen, and I think the collaboration works really well.
Yeah, I think that was probably the clip you're talking about was maybe one of the episodes of That's JPW.
Yeah.
which was in itself such a ridiculous thing. They did they wanted to make this show, Tokyo Joshi show, one match show every week that was like centered towards
That's what it was.
appealing to the English speaking audience. And those interviews beforehand were always it's because me and Aki were the ones doing them, Bali and Aki. They were always like a surprise to us. And yeah, there was quite a few like gifable reactions to like me and Aki being stunned at like things people had said, because we would beforehand, before the shooting, be like, if you want help like with what you want to say in English or what you want to put across, just let us know. But 9 times out of 10, the girls would always just be like, oh, it's okay, I've like thought about what I want to say. We'd be like, oh, okay, go ahead. And then the things they would come out with were just ridiculous all the time. I think, what was it? One time, Shoko Nakajima went on a rant about Marika Kobashi, who was like one of the younger members of the roster, about how she doesn't study and is like a bad student at school. And then Yuka Sakazaki called someone a thief one time. She just someone was a thief, and just like these things out of left field are so surprising to hear. And yeah, Maki Ito, a mouth like a toilet. She always surprises me with the things she says or comes out with. So, but yeah, no, it's always fun doing the Ito respect thing. It seems like our position or our like role in DDT is we always come together to team with some kind of legend on some kind of big show. It's been like Chris Brookes, Makito, and Minoru Suzuki, Chris Brookes, Makito, and Super Delphin, Chris Brookes, Makito, and Atsushi Onita. So it's always like anytime there's like a big show and like some big guest coming in for whatever reason, DDT is like, oh, it's the time to reunite the Ito Respect Army and put Chris and Ito with them and expect hilarious results.
It's funny because you mentioned Minoru Suzuki, like he's everywhere. I know he just showed up at the Ganpari Pro Show. I think that was his debut, and he's going to be wrestling for them next month. Suzuki's all over the place. He's wrestling in All Japan. I think I want to say this Sunday. I think so. He's wrestling for All Japan this Sunday. So yeah, Suzuki all over the place, man. But I definitely like that combination of you and Maki Ito. But Chris, do you sort of pride yourself on being a versatile type of wrestler? Like, of course, everybody wants to go out there and, have the banger match and, have the performance that everybody's talking about on social media. But do you also take pride in, make sure that entertainment aspect is, a critical part of what you like to present? And did you think being in DDT has sort of helped you, have that entertainment or sort of include that entertainment aspect into what you do in the ring?
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, like wrestling, people obviously when they get into wrestling, they have different aspirations and different goals. And then there's a lot of people who like they get into wrestling and immediately their headspace or goal is like, I want to be the main event person, I want to be the champion, I want to do like this and this and this. Whereas for me, like I got into wrestling in the late 90s watching like WCW and stuff, and I would always just watch kind of like the cruiserweights in WCW, like the Lucha guys and the guys like Jericho and Malenko and Guerrero, and I would always watch them and be like, oh, that's kind of like the position I want to be in, not necessarily just from the standpoint of like the wrestling, but like I was just saw myself in like kind of that middle place. And I was like, the most important like thing or the most important like trait that I always noticed in like the wrestlers that I liked growing up was they were that word, that versatile kind of wrestler, where you could put them in any kind of situation and they would be good at it. And I think that was subconsciously or consciously kind of my ambition with wrestling, more so than like, I want to be the champion, I want to go here, I want to do this. I was always like, I just want to be like that good person, that good hand who can like reliably do anything. Because I think especially like we were talking a little bit before, maybe before we even got recording, about how especially these days, like the attention span gets shorter and shorter in terms of like there's so much wrestling going on now. And if you look at even like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, especially when you consider the stuff that's like coming in from Japan, you used to have to wait an hour to download one match on Mega Upload from like a show. You couldn't download a whole show. You had to like, it would be 1 hour to download opening match, 1 hour to download match 2, and like depending on your slow data transfer times, but you'd make the effort and finally get that full show and watch everything. And then that kind of evolved into like people would just make music videos of everything. MVs became like a big boom thing, and everyone would make music videos. And now like it's GIFs. So like the attention span, or like the things that catch people's attention already, again, even shorter. It used to be like you take so much effort to watch one thing, but then there would be MVs or like highlights of everything. So you just watch that. And then now it's like GIFs of the attention span. So I think for anyone whose like goal is just to have like that boom point, I think maybe it peaks quickly and then it drops off again. Like if you want to stay at the top, it's very difficult to do. But if you set out to just kind of be consistently doing different things and consistently entertaining, you'll kind of consistently have a place somewhere, or like some position of relevancy, I guess.
For sure. But I did want to talk to you about somebody who I know you're also very familiar with, man. He just made his debut over at Pro Wrestling Noah. That's one Timothy Thatcher. He arrived to Pro Wrestling Noah, man, and I believe he's going to be on that CyberFight Festival show. I think they said he was the person that was going to be revealed on that June 7th show was going to be the person that was going to be the X, the big X in that multi-person tag match. Talk to me about your history with Tim Thatcher, man. I know that dates back to WXW, Progress, Rare Pro. Your experiences with him, man, and how excited are you for him as a friend and an individual to see him back outside, and he had his run with WWE, and that went how it went, but how excited are you to see him pop up in Pro Wrestling Noah, and what that could mean for the future as far as Tim Thatcher goes?
It's gonna sound funny. Me and Tim, actually, the same story as CCK LAX happening with it happening because Lycos was injured. It's the same reason that me and Tim first came together. Because Progress was doing, it was like in the lead up to their Wembley show. I think they were doing some kind of like tag thing. There was like the tag team title picture, and I think Lycos was injured. And they were looking at what they could do with me. And I remember it would have been John Briley or Glenn at the time messaging me, and they were like, what do you think about the idea of tagging with Tim? And I was like, Tim Thatcher and me, we are very different people. We had no real relationship at that point. I think we'd met and wrestled a couple of times, but Tim is like such a dry, stoic person that we had like no relationship. And I was like, I don't know about that. Like, but in my mind, I was just like, knowing Tim and like the wrestler he is, I was like, there's no way that Tim wants to tag with me. Like, that's not going to be an appealing thing for him. So I was like, I don't know, but like, if that's the direction you guys want to go, okay, like I'll give it a shot. And I was like super apprehensive about it. And then I remember the first time we teamed together, we like met at the venue. I think it was the Electric Ballroom in London, maybe the first time, or perhaps. And I remember I got there and I was like, Tim, good to meet you. Not good to meet you. Tim, how you doing? We're teaming today. And he was like, yep, we're teaming, sir. And I was like, and then he was like, and I have a lot of ideas. And I was like, oh, okay. And then like Tim was like really into the idea. He had like a bunch of ideas. And then the more we did it, like, I think people enjoyed it because I think people could see it was real. There was like a real apprehension between the two of us in the beginning because we really didn't have a relationship and weren't friends, but we're like trying to make this thing work together. And it did, and it started to gel. And yeah, from it, me and Tim like ended up having a really good relationship. Tim is he's a really funny person. He has like obviously no social media or anything like that. He has a phone and he sends text messages sometimes, but that's about it. And it's funny that you bring him up. Actually, he came over, and did the Noah thing, and then I was like, Tim, you're in Japan, and I was like, how do I contact him though? Because his number's not gonna work here. I can't text him or whatever. I was like, sir, and I was like, Tim's not paid for like a data on like his American SIM over in Japan or anything like that. So I was like, how am I going to get in touch with Tim Thatcher? Like, he's the hardest person to reach. And then last night I was like, I'll send him an email. So I sent him an email in the year 2022. And I woke up to this morning to a message in my inbox from Tim Thatcher.
Oh, look at that.
Hello, sir. How are you? Like, why are we communicating by email?
Look
So
at
I'm
that.
looking forward to seeing him. He's a very elusive person, but Tim is an amazing wrestler. And in terms of like him being in Noah now, I feel like it's the best place for him to be. I remember back in the UK before he even did the WWE thing, because I don't think that was ever Tim's goal. It was kind of out of left field, even when he accepted the offer to go there. Like he would always talk about Japan. He like loves battle arts and things like that. And his goal was always to come to Japan. So very happy that he's finally getting to do it, and especially in Noah now, I think it's like the perfect fit for him. I think he'll fit in really well there. So I hope he stays, and I hope it works out well for him, because he's a great wrestler, great person, and Noah I feel is like the perfect place for him.
I say I'm very much looking forward to the photo, the reunion photo between Chris Brookes and Timothy Thatcher. Man, I'm pretty sure that's gonna be cool.
It's definitely coming. It's definitely coming at Saitama, and I'm sure I'll look thrilled, and Tim will look like Tim.
And so just real quick on Tim Thatcher, man. Like I'm pretty sure like you always see like the memes of like people like make fun of like the device he uses to communicate. Like some people say he has like this throwback flip phone and like all this type of stuff. It's always funny seeing like the Tim Thatcher.
That's
jokes,
true.
Man.
He does.
Yeah. He said that's serious. That's legit.
Yeah, that's real. He has like a phone that his phone doesn't have like.
I thought that was a joke.
Still like no. The last phone that I remember seeing Tim have, it was one of those where it didn't have like a browser or anything. It was so old. Like you couldn't download apps on it. That was it. It had a browser, but there was like no apps. Like if you wanted to check anything, you had to use like the slow like 1G data browser to access anything. But that's just the kind of person Tim is. He doesn't doesn't care about anything like that. I respect him. I respect the fact that he has like no interest in any of that. Here's my favorite Tim and Chris Brookes picture.
Look at that, man.
Tim looks so happy.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that reunion photo, man. But like you mentioned, I mentioned too at the top, Tim's venture into WWE. I remember like around 2018, when I like sort of around the launch of the NXT UK brand. I remember I had read something along the lines of that you, along with a bunch of others, were sort of offered an extended opportunity to work with WWE to some capacity. I didn't really get into the specifics of it, but more so just an opportunity there. Assuming it was with the NXT UK brand. If that is accurate, more so along the lines of just like, obviously you didn't go that route, but what was sort of your mindset at that time as far as like going that route isn't something that was necessarily something you was looking for. It just wasn't wasn't something necessarily you was looking to lean towards at that time of your career. Sort of walk me through your headspace at that point.
I mean, for me, like WWE was never like my goal in wrestling. I think I watched WWE when I was a kid, obviously, and then when I was like 10 or 11 years old, I kind of had that period where I like fell out of interest with wrestling for a little bit, and then what got me back into it was there was a TV station called the Wrestling Channel for a short while in the UK, and they would show like a bunch of indie wrestling. It was like the first time I saw Ring of Honor and CZW, and they would show Pro Wrestling Noah and stuff on there, which kind of like led me down the rabbit hole into discovering like all the indie companies in Japan and becoming a fan of like Big Japan and DDT and stuff like that. So I don't know if it's necessary. I guess I just have a different perspective to a lot of people, but I think sometimes people's judgment gets like stuck in one place in terms of like goals, maybe. Obviously, like there's a lot of my generation that came up watching WWF, WCW in like the Attitude Monday Night Wars era or whatever, and I think for a lot of people they have like the same story as me, as then like they found other things and they watched other things and that took their interest, but for whatever reason their goal stays fixated on that one thing being like WWE, because it's like, oh, I watched it when I was a kid, that's my dream, I want to go there or whatever. But I think you have to like realistically look at it in the sense of, even if that was what you loved growing up, it's so different these days to what it was when you were a fan of it when you were a kid or whatever. And I mean, for me especially, like I just look at WWE now, and then like a few years ago, it was just never a goal for me. Like my goal was always to go to Japan and do stuff over there, and I never really had any interest in not even just going, but like I remember around the same time there was a lot of people who were like, they wanted to try out so that they could
Right.
like, you know, try and get an opportunity and whatever, and it just never, even that didn't really appeal to me. I got offered the tryout, I think in 2018.
I think that was 17. Because what was that?
17 maybe.
What was that? The one at the O2?
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah, 17.
Before Raw SmackDown, right? Like y'all had the thing at it was like a taping they were doing over there in the UK. I think it was.
Was that 2017?
Yeah, that was 2017. The 2018 one, I think that was like right around the time where they was like about to launch like the actual like NXT UK like brand. Like that was the thing.
Jesus.
And then 2017. I think that
where's
was
life going? It's running away.
I
was at 2017.
I know, right? Time flying, man.
So I got offered like the tryout thing first, and I remember when they called me, I was like, I think I spoke to maybe Pete Dunne about it at the time. I was like, they've offered me a tryout thing, but I don't think I'm gonna go. He was like, what do you mean you're not gonna go? And I was like, what? Like, there's nothing that I want to get out of it, so it doesn't feel worthwhile going. And then I think he convinced me. He was like, even if you don't want to get anything from it, you should still go and just get the experience. Which he was right. Like I'm glad I got to do it and got to have that tryout and like do it in the O2 and stuff. It was like a cool 2 days and whatever. And then when they decided they wanted to start the UK brand, I guess maybe a year or so after, they offered me like a position in it. But they like offered so many people contracts and whatever. Like they really like cast a wide net at the time, and they offered me one of the deals, same as like the other guys. And I thought about it. I think the initial one was like a year or 2-year thing, and I guess if that's 2018, I was like 27-ish around that time. And like my mentality towards it was like, of course, it's only 2 years or whatever, but no one knew how it was going to pan out. No one knew like what the exclusivity to it would be. And I didn't feel really like done by any means of doing like indie wrestling and stuff that I wanted to do. My goal was still always Japan. And I was like, if it's 2 years, I'm 27, 28 now. By the time like it ends, I'll already be like 29, 30. Which is not like old or near the end of your career, but I looked at those 2 years and I thought those 2 years, that period from like 27 to 29, 28 to 30 or whatever it is, I think it's like really important. Those are going to be like critical years to your development as a wrestler and, you know, like what you want to do. And I was like, I don't want to spend those years potentially in a situation that I don't want to be in or not enjoying it. And my goal was Japan. And I said no to the thing, which a lot of people at the time told me I was crazy because I had like at the time too, I had like no into Japan in any way. It was still like a very unobtainable thing. It was kind of like one of those quiet goals that you don't want to like. I didn't say to people at the time, I said no because I want to go to Japan, because it seemed like going to Japan was like, I couldn't imagine it being a thing that would happen. It was just like in the back of my mind as like, I'd love to do that one day, and I don't want to potentially not be able to do it because of doing something that I don't really want to be doing. And then everyone was like, oh, you're an idiot, you're stupid, why did you say no, blah 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 blah, blah. All that kind of that jazz. And I was like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. And then maybe 5 or 6 months after, everything was like starting to move with that. And then there was like a Fight Club show one time before we arrived there. And Trent Sim was like, big news. And I was like, what's that? And he was like, next January, Fight Club Pro show at Korakuen Hall. And I was like, fuck off. You're not doing a Fight Club Pro show at Korakuen. Well, Trent Seven would always have like these ideas of these grand things that were going to happen. And I was like, yeah, bullshit. I'll believe it when I'm on the plane. And then January 2019, I was on the plane going to Tokyo. We did the show at Korakuen, and it kind of worked out to be kind of like a festival show in itself, where there was like people from every company on the show. Cool. Because of that, like a lot of like prominent people in like the Japanese indie scene and whatever came along to watch. And it turned out that Sanshiro Takagi came and watched them in backstage. I think Konosuke Takeshita went and watched it, and he liked me and like us. And then we did that show in January, and maybe February or March, pretty soon after, out of the blue one day, get an email. DDT wants to bring you over for a tour. So it all worked out in the end.
Worked. Yeah. I'm about to say it all worked. Now it's cool how that all turned out, man. Because I remember like around that time when when NXT UK had started going, I know like it was a lot of the wrestlers there, man. They had like there was like restrictions like being put on some of their independent dates. Like it was a lot of wrestlers who had to pull out a lot of different shows, and I was like that's when I started to notice. I was like, oh, okay, this is where like because I mean that's not something new with WWE. Like, you know, they like to keep a tight restriction on who is allowed to do certain things, but like I started to notice that over time. I was like, you started to see certain names getting pulled from shows, and it was like, okay, now they're doing the, you know, they fully locking people in. But yeah, I would say everything worked out for the best, man. But no, moving off of that, let's talk about I saw, I think this was like last week, I believe, or 2 weeks ago, I had saw that Konosuke Takeshita, he had sent you, he had tagged you in a post, and he said thank you for the Cinnabons that you had sent them from Japan, man. And like he had, like, it's at the point like where this man is like actively like interacting with the Cinnabons Twitter account on social media. Like they have like an established connection now on social media. But like yeah, talk to me about, you know, him. I know you guys have interacted quite a bit in DDT, and you know, of course, he's on this US tour right now, hitting up a bunch of independent promotion, like you said, challenging for the I think for the PWG World Title next month, and then on top of that, he's working in AEW as well. Talk to me a little about Konosuke, man.
Yeah, Takeshita is like just an amazing wrestler. I think from the first time I like met him or watched him wrestle, I think from the first time like most people see him wrestle, you're just like, oh fuck, he's like special. Yeah, he's just so athletic, so like
he a tank, man. He's a big dude.
He's just so gifted, and I'm really happy for him to like have this opportunity now to go to America. I think it's been a goal of his for quite a while. Like we're good friends, so he would always tell me that like he wanted to try and go to America, because I think he's in a position right now where like he's been basically the ace of DDT for pushing a decade or whatever. Like since he's come in, he's been like elevated really high, and then he's had the KOD open weight belt a bunch of times. He's main evented Ryogoku, he's main evented, you know, Saitama. He's done all these things, and I think he does need to have like that new challenge and that like what's next for him. And I think it's working out great in that by him going to America and doing AEW and stuff, and just blowing people away constantly. Everyone's asking, where's this guy from? And then the answer is, of course, DDT. So I think he's doing something now that's like, personally for him, I think it's pushing him, and it's like a new avenue of like motivation and new goals to attain for him. But I think in doing it, he's also like still bringing eyes to DDT, and like you can tell he's still like championing DDT hard and letting everyone know where he's come from. So I think it's great for him, and I think so far the reaction to him in America has been awesome. Like I remember getting up early to watch his match with Hangman, and it was just amazing. I think I remember he like the match finished, went to the commercials or whatever, and like 5 minutes after, if that, maybe I get like a message from him on my phone online. He's like, "How was it? Did you watch?" Yeah, it was great. So he's having a lot of fun over there. His Cinnabon thing that he's got going on is pretty crazy. I thought it would be like a really nice way to send him a birthday gift, because obviously he's like in Japan now, and I was like, oh, I realized you can like schedule Uber Eats deliveries for like a certain day and time, and I was like, oh, if I order like a bunch of Cinnabon to his room, that'd be like a really nice thing to wake up to. And then it ended up being like this whole catastrophe where like I'm waiting in the morning, and then the hotel calls me and they're like, sir, you need to come down to the desk if you want to pick up food. We can't like have it delivered. And I was like, I'm in Japan, like this isn't for me. And then I had to ring Takeshita and be like, Takeshita, there's like food in the lobby for you. You got to go and pick it up. And it's like 8 a.m. So he's just woke up and he's like, what? And I'm like, the Cinnabon in the lobby, go now. Like, oh, okay. And then he like goes down. And then like the delivery driver has been waiting 15 minutes, and he's like, I'm going to cancel the order if you don't find me. And I'm like, Takeshita, find him. And he's like, I can't find him. And then the Uber guy's like, I'm wearing a pink hat. So I'm messaging Takeshita, look for a guy in a pink hat. But like this hotel's like huge. It's probably got like 5 lobbies. And I feel so bad, like knowing I was trying to do this like nice thing. And then Takeshita's there at 8 a.m. He's literally just woke up like running around a hotel lobby, half awake. Just trying to find Cinnabons. I was like, I'm sorry. I thought that would be a nice gesture, and it ended up being way more stressful than I'd anticipated.
Cool, man. That's cool. It is like, this is my sort of first exposure to him, like actually like seeing like full length matches of his. Like I've seen like clips and stuff, of course, you see stuff floating around on Twitter and stuff like that. This is like my first time getting to see him like fully in action, like on top of AEW, then seeing like all the stuff I think he has a upcoming date. I think a promotion called like Garden State or something like that, something along those lines. He's gonna be wrestling, I think, Josh Alexander, which I'm very excited to see. I think that's gonna be a good one. But yeah, Konosuke, he's a excellent wrestler. Like I said, that dude is a tank. He's very, very fast. Like I'm pretty sure you probably, I don't know if you had the chance to see that clip when he was yeah, I think it was against, I want to say, I can't remember exactly who it was against because I don't want to get it wrong, but I mean dude was hitting the ropes like it was he was just, it was real fast, man. So yeah, he's a very entertaining wrestler. But like I
He's
know
a machine, and I think he like carries himself so well. Like he carries himself like a 25-year veteran. Like he looks so confident in everything he does all the time. And like the scary thing is he's still like, what, I think he's like 26.
Yeah. Like
he's not even reached like what people would probably consider like his prime yet. Yeah. And he's
the wrestler's
already ridiculous.
Prime. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's not in wrestler prime territory, and he's already so good. It pisses me off.
Yeah, that wrestler's prime. That's not like until like 36, 35, like for most people. That's when the wrestler's prime is, which I think is kind of crazy considering like what you guys put your bodies through, and for that like to be sort of be the consensus or the average prime year for most wrestlers, which is that's kind of insane. But like we were sort of talking about like a little bit before we started recording about like the Wrestle Universe service. Like I really like what sort of what's coming from that, and sort of the additions that's being to it. Like even like that announcement where like whenever a talent from under the CyberFight banner or from under Tokyo Joshi Pro or DDT, like when they go to AEW, like their match would be added to the service, and then like that talent would do like commentary over the match. Like I think it's like very interesting stuff like that will continue to grow the subscriber number for Wrestle Universe, and it'll just bring more eyes from the US over to you guys in DDT and every other promotion that's under the CyberFight banner.
Yeah, Wrestle Universe is like such great value too right now as well, and especially since unfortunately the value of the yen continues to drop. so it's going to be an even better deal. I remember like when I first came here, I think like 1,000 yen was the equivalent of like $10. It was kind of like for like at like the same level, but the yen's doing really badly now. Wrestle Universe is 900 yen a month, which is only $6.70. So it's very cheap, man. Great value. Go subscribe for $6. Like it's been quite a while since I've been in America. Like what's the cost of like a Burger King meal these days?
Man, you get Burger King, you get like a full Burger King meal for probably what, $10 maybe, $9 maybe,
$10 maybe. It's cheaper to get Wrestle Universe. Cheaper than a meal at Burger King. You get so much stuff every month. Like of course they got Noah now. I think them getting when it became CyberFight, and obviously Noah joined as well, that was when like the value of it just got insane, because then you got two companies that are running like full monthly schedules, putting everything on there. You get the live shows from like Korakuns and stuff like that. Tokyo Joshi this year have like upped their schedule as well. I think again kind of like the same time frame of when I first joined DDT. They were running like maybe one show a month or whatever. Now they kind of have like a show most weeks, so that plus Gampro's schedule is a little bit busier now. You're probably getting close to like 10 or 20 new shows every month just on the VOD on there, not to mention like the amount of shows that get streamed live and stuff. So I think, yeah, really for like in terms of value, I don't know if there's many better deals going in wrestling today, and especially considering the companies that are under the umbrella. You've got obviously DDT, Noah, Tokyo Joshi, Gampro, then the Rojo, like street wrestling. Like that's already such like a variety of different things. Plus, they have like the prominent shows are on there. The new Joshi unit group with Risa Serra and Akane Fujita and stuff like that. So like you've got those shows too. There's been like some 0-1 shows that have been on there recently. Like there's so much there. There's something for everyone, and for the cost of, like you say, like less than a Burger King meal. It doesn't hurt to try it. And I think it's still now there's like a 2-week free trial with like no obligation to subscribe after. So definitely people should check out Wrestle Universe, and Saitama coming up on the 12th is the perfect opportunity to do that. You can join it, you can watch that show, you'll get like a real taste of everything that's on offer there, and then you can choose what you want to check out, what you want to support on Wrestle Universe. If something's not for you, don't watch that. There's plenty on there, plenty of archive stuff too. So
Yeah.
great deal. AEW's on there now as well. Yeah,
Yep.
sometimes they put the AEW matches on there.
I said, like, in all seriousness, man, like you kind of hit the nail on the head. Honestly, like if anybody was looking to try it, like I think probably this weekend is probably the best time because you get like a little piece of like everything that's under the CyberFight umbrella. So like if you go sign up at Wrestle Universe, you might as well go ahead and
you might as well do it now. Yeah. This weekend's the equivalent of like how old did you say you were? 25?
Yeah.
I don't know if you even remember when you were like younger. You get the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 magazines. Yeah. They come with like a demo disc. You get like 7 demo games on there. CyberFight Festival is like DDT's CyberFight's demo disc of their pro wrestling. You try a little bit of everything. If you like something, stick around, and I'm sure there'll be something for everyone on the show.
It's funny.
I mean, it's free, so it's 2 weeks free. Yeah. If you've never joined before, what have you got to lose? It's absolutely free. Just give it a shot.
It's funny you said it real quick. The PS2, I got mine like sitting over there in the corner.
You got it in there now.
It's like all dusty, but I gotta clean that up one of these days, man. But like, yeah, PS2 right over there. So it's funny you said that. But lastly, Chris, man, before we wrap it up, I appreciate you taking the time to do this, man. Like I said, like you are going back to Progress Wrestling, I believe, this September. I think it's gonna be your first. I'm gonna say your first match for them since pre-pandemic. I'm gonna say February 2020. That was the last time you was in Progress, man. But how, just overall, like on top of Progress, how excited are you to head back to the UK? I'm pretty sure you got family out there. You waiting to see, man. This upcoming trip. In the coming months, man, about going back to the UK. How excited are you about that?
Yeah, very excited. I'm more just like interested as well to see what's going on there now and what's happening. Obviously, the scene's very different to how it was a few years ago, and from everything I hear from the people I'm still close to, like the scene seems to be in like much better hands now. So I'm excited to see how it's doing. Of course, I'm excited to see what new people are like coming up there. I mean, Riho came over recently for Tokyo Joshi, I think like last week. She had like a title match with Mike Ito, and she did a singles match with Yuki Aino.
I think she coming back. Her and Shida. They coming back this summer.
Oh no, sorry, the UK Rio.
Okay. My bad.
RHIO instead of RIHO, maybe the different spelling. But like she came over and did Tokyo Joshi. She came over from England and did that like a week or so ago. And in the case of like her, I'd only seen her like rise from the outside because it was kind of like post-pandemic where I think she really started to like get a name for herself and stuff. And I saw her doing Lycos's like produce shows and stuff. And when Tokyo Joshi said that they could like open back up now and kind of like bring in wrestlers from different countries now, Rio was one of the names I put forward. And then I got to meet her in England, and it was like the first time that I'd met her because I don't think we ever crossed paths before. She's been wrestling for like quite a while, but it was never like similar circles. And I think now I look at the UK scene and there's a lot of people like that I've never even really seen or crossed paths with before. So I think that'll be interesting to see kind of how things are getting on over there in the state of that. And then of course, like beyond all that, I haven't seen my family in like closing in on 3 years from I moved in February 2020. So if I made it to February 2023, it would be 3 years. So I guess like September will be like two and a half and some change years. So of course, looking forward to doing that too. I think maybe that's like in the forefront of my mind right now. I'm like looking forward to wrestling, of course, but yeah, very excited to just, see my mother, see my sister.
That's cool.
She's like, life changes very quickly when you're not around at all. Like, my sister like lives with her fiance now. They're like engaged and gonna get married and stuff. And I never even met him. Like that all happened like between me doing, because even the like 6 months before I moved, I was like in Japan for like 3 or 4 of those months doing like DDT tours. So yeah, I've missed a lot of life. It'll be good to catch up and catch up with people, catch up with Progress, see what's going on there now. And Lycos keeps talking shit about me now that I'm not around. So I'll have to go and remind him to shut up at some point.
He just let you know live in this interview, Lycos coming to smack you up in Progress. So be expecting Chris Brookes to come put hands with you, man. But yeah, man, it's gonna be really cool to see you back. I know Progress. I think they have the Progress on demand service. I think that's their streaming service, so that video on demand service. So it'll be cool to see when that's fully up there, man. So yeah, and of course, big early congratulations to you on I don't know why I said congratulations, but getting to see your family and stuff, man. That's that I don't know why I said congratulations, but after 2 years, man, that's a long time.
I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take the congratulations.
That's a long time without seeing your folks, man. But yeah, just ending on that note, man. Chris, I do want to thank you for your time again, man. I appreciate you. Please let everybody know where they can follow you on social media. Let everybody know that. I'll make sure to plug it in the description of this video.
Yep. You can follow me on social media. My Twitter is at Obey Brookes. My Instagram is at Christopher. That's probably about it, I guess. And yeah, please do check out DDT. DDT. Check out DDT, but also check out CyberFight Festival this Sunday on Wrestle Universe. I'm in an 8-person tag against Mao and Yuki Ueno and Asuka and Shuma Katsumata, teaming with Harashima, Masa Takanashi, and Naomi Yoshimura. And it should be a very fun time. Wrestle Universe is free for 2 weeks. You've got nothing to lose. If you've had your trial already, you've already used it, and you need to rejoin, it's cheaper than a big. I was gonna say a Big Mac. Probably not. Burger King. Maybe it's not cheaper than a Big Mac. Burger King's more expensive than McDonald's. It's cheaper than a Burger King meal. It might be more expensive than a McDonald's meal, but either way, it's very affordable. 900 yen a month. And thank you for interviewing me. It's been really fun. I remember just before we got on here, I was talking to you about how I saw Hero putting over your interview like a year or maybe even longer perhaps now on Twitter, and I didn't realize until we got on the Zoom today that it was you that was doing the interview today. And then I was like, oh fuck, that's cool. Like I'm glad we could have a chat about things. It's been super cool. And I think you did a lot of research. More about me than I know about myself. You were bringing up things then and being like, what about the LAX matches? I was like, oh, that is a thing that I did.
No, I appreciate you, man. It was really cool to talk to you. I was definitely looking forward to this. Great, but ladies and gentlemen, I'm Andrew Thompson, the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel. Signing off for Chris Brookes. We are out. Peace.